Hey guys, Civilord here, back in with another action figure review, wrapping up my looks at this current wave of Masterverse figures. We have the new Eternia King Randor, brought to us by the fine folks over at Mattel, and kinda sorta Burger King, because he definitely looks like he's gonna have it our way. That said, I can't help but want a double cheeseburger and mozzarella fries with some chicken nuggies after this video is over, but money don't grow on trees, so it is what it is. So before I get too far ahead of ourselves with hopes and dreams of food that will never come, why don't we cut right to the chase and get into the meat and taters of this review and take a look-see at all King Randor has to offer in terms of accessories, starting off with this pretty awesome sword. I mean, it's not the Mythic Legion's Sword of Etheron or anything, but it's serviceable. And then we also have his staff. It's a very kingly staff with a crown at the top there. And one thing you can do is you can actually pop these together. So you can have this giant spear-like weapon, which is pretty cool. I can respect that. And then he also has a swappable crown. Now, I will tell you, the one thing about the crowns is they don't stay on very well, so I'm just going to take this one off. This is his more traditional Burger King hair with the crown on top. I'll just show you what this one looks like quick, because this is probably the one I'm going to display him with, but I would recommend some blue tack. I will say, one thing you can do is you can hold him upside down. It's not going to come off, but it does come off fairly easily, so, you know, be mindful of that when you're handling this figure so you don't lose those pieces. But as far as King Randor's head goes, otherwise, he's bald. Like David Draymond from Disturbed bald. And all I can say is the man spoketh unto his disciples the words "Awa-ah-ah-ah," and thus began Motu Revolution. No. But very interesting to see a bald King Randor. You can almost use this as an alt head for somebody else. That said, no alt hands, speaking of alt parts, but I'm sure Mechanics will fit in this guy, so if you wanted to give him a fist, I think you could probably swipe his. Just like the Beastman we looked at yesterday, because it is 2 for Tuesdays after all. I think the Revelation one, you could probably swap the hands from that onto that. But at any rate, as far as articulation on Randor goes, his head will look side to side, up and down, a little bit of tilt. Shoulders will pop up, back, down, rotate all around, very, very tight. He does have a bicep swivel. Double elbow. Not as tight on this guy, but he does reuse a lot of parts. Swivel at the wrist with the appropriate hinge for holding stuff, might I add, so that's pretty cool. He does have the diaphragm joint, but it is pretty hindered by his armor, but it is in there. And of course, you can rotate the midsection. This armor piece is very much like the Stratos from this line. It's got the hinge joint up here in the elbow, so you can actually bend this. But it's like all one piece. When you pop this off, you're popping off the whole thing. His hips will kick out, back down, forward and back. He does have the drop downs that do work. Oof. Very, very tight. Thigh swivel. Double jointed knee. Very, very tight once again, but they do work. Whew! Heard that right. It's got a boot cut and a hinge in the foot with a rocker joint. So, very, very cool. Indeed. But, not my favorite figure from this wave, unfortunately. I do like him a lot, though. I think you could probably take the cape off, too, if you wanted to. Yeah, you could totally take that off. It just unplugs from the armor up there. Let's see if I can find that plug. That could be easier said than done, I guess. Well, we might just have to do that off camera because I can't get that sucker back in there. But you can unplug the cape from the armor if you just want to have him a more battle ready. There we go. And a more battle ready look without the cape. A little less regal, but I like him with the cape. Cape's a nice material. It's not the best material ever, but it's not the weird felty stuff we saw at the beginning of this line. And it's not the crinkly capes McFarlane uses for all their Batmans, so that is a plus. I will say, I would have liked a scabbard or something for his sword. That would have been pretty cool, but at any rate, that is Randor in a nutshell, so why don't we actually give him his hair back so he doesn't feel like King Neptune from SpongeBob, which is actually more or less what that reminds me of, seeing him with no hair. It's kind of funny. So he's bald! Bald! But at any rate, solid figure. Solid addition to the line. Would like to see Queen Marlena to go with him, though, because there's a pretty cool image of her in a spacesuit on the packaging, I think, for this figure. And, I mean, that would just make sense, right? It would be nice to see her again in figure form, because we haven't seen her in figure form since Classics, and I think that was the only figure of her we ever got. So, with that being said, it is time now that we move right along and take a look. Some size comparisons. First up, here's King Randor, looking like he's going to have it our way, alongside the other figures available in this somewhat current wave of Masterverse figures. We have Beastman and Roboto, both of which are already up on the channel, so please check those reviews out if you haven't already. Really appreciate it if you did, as well as my top 10 Masterverse figures of 2020 fella. I put a lot of work into that video, making sure it was up to my liking. It was my list, ultimately, so I put what I wanted in the video, but I think you guys will like it. I think you'll enjoy it. You'll get something out of it. That said, I think you'd also get something out of picking up all three of these figures for your Masterverse collections, especially if you're into the new Eternia stuff like I am. But that just kind of goes without saying, right? It's almost like the new Classics until they release that Walmart exclusive vintage collection line, which I only got one of those at the moment. While it is Skeletor, I would not mind seeing a Scareglow at some point. Just saying. That's it. We don't even have a new Eternia Scareglow, but I digress. So getting those two out of here, so we can make way for our two regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibilith and the infamous Element Spawn, who is not towering over everyone today because, as you've probably seen from my other Masterverse videos, good old Al Simmons here is pretty much neck and neck with a lot of Masterverse figures, and in this case is a little shorter than King Randor due to his, well, Burger King crown. But I guess that would be considered cheating. So, with that being said, it's time now that we wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and despite the fact that good old King Randor here gets me in the mood for some Burger King, I have to be honest in saying that once again, he is another fine addition to the new Eternia subline from the fine folks over at Mattel's Masterverse line for their Masters of the Universe brand, because they took a character that's, well, not gonna lie, kind of ridiculous, because again, he does look like freaking Burger King and have it your way and all that good stuff. But they went and made him awesome. He's got some pretty 2000X inspired armor going on, and he looks like a fierce warrior this time around. He doesn't look like he's gonna serve you a burger and fries. He looks like he's gonna kick the crap out of you, and that's what I like about this figure. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later.